Hi, Libra. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for June of 2021. Well, it's going to be a dramatic month for relationships for all of us because Juno is retrograde. And for you, this is going to impact the arena of life where we search for meaning. You may be asking yourself some pretty big questions this month. And if you find that that's so and you want some really big answers, then a natal and transit reading would be a good place to get them. You'll find that in the YouTube description below. So when I talk about the main news of this month, it's really down to several retrogrades. Juno is retrograde. That's the asteroid goddess of marriage. So that impacts committed relationships of all kinds, whether for business or personal reasons. And Mercury is also retrograde. Not that fun when these two intersect. And then there's a solar eclipse coming too. So we're going to talk about all of those things, but let's start with Mercury. Hey, Julia, you want to jump in and speak to the Mercury situation this month?
Sure. Well, hey there, Libra. Mercury is the planet that represents how we communicate as well as how we think. And it starts the month off retrograde, meaning it's moving backwards in the sign in your ninth house. This is the house of school. This is the house of travel. This is the house of expansion in general. So if you are in school, this could be a bit of a frustrating cycle because it means you might have to redo or rethink something you've already learned or maybe something you've already written. Since this is also the house of travel, if you do have any trips planned during this time, build in a lot of space in between because things might not go quite as planned. But on June 22nd, Mercury is going to start moving direct and we're going to be slowly and surely getting out of this cycle, thank God. Then Mars, the planet of action and activity, starts the month off in the sign of Cancer, which is your 10th house of career and authority figures. So for the first maybe third of the month, with Mars in this house, you're going to be putting a lot of energy into your career, whether that means the career you already have or the career you'd like to get into, which is all well and good. However, since the 10th house represents authority figures like parents, teachers, bosses, government officials, you could be butting heads with the authority figures in your life. So just watch out for that. Then on June 11th, Mars is going to be moving into your 11th house of friends and groups. So this house rules your friendship circles as well as any groups you're a part of. That could include professional associations, clubs, societies, sports teams, unions, you know the drill. So with Mars here, the action can kind of pick up in your social life. However, it also might be a little extra competitive. Your enemies might really, or your friends might really be more like frenemies during this cycle too. Maybe there's a little bit more ego running high, or if you're involved in any types of groups in your life, you could be running into frustrations and conflicts with them as well. Then Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationship, starts the month off, and by the month, I mean the very first day of the month, in your ninth house. Again, that's the house of school and travel. Very, very expansive, So Venus, for the first very bit of this month, but mostly last month, was bringing some pleasure and harmony into those activities. But by June 2nd, she will be moving into your 10th house as well. So she'll be joining Mars here for a few days, meaning that there might be some push and pull at work where you might be running into conflicts yet at the same time finding some pleasure and actually kind of maybe even getting along well with people at the same time at work. The 10th house also rules our public reputation. So if you do anything promotional or you have a public image as well, Venus is going to really boost that during this cycle too.
Yeah, and won't it be nice after Mars is gone and Venus is still there in the 10th house, just
Yes.
smoothing over relationships in the career zone? That's just, oh, we love that one. So, continuing on the relationship theme though, Juno retrograde is a real, just an annoyance for Libras, I think, because, you're all about relationship. You're all about what's fair. And sometimes you can be taken advantage of that, with that, like being accused of not being fair and then just wanting to prove that you actually are, and you can let yourself get run over. Well, during Juno retrograde, it's just a time when all of us are engaged in relationship retrospection. And if you're in a relationship, you can feel like you've just got to look at the past of this relationship and rethink some things. Now, for you, this Juno retrograde is happening in the third house, which is the house of communication. So that mixes communication themes in with the relationship themes. And, especially if you value communication in your relationship, you might be asking yourself, does this relationship really have what it takes to be the kind of place where I can have the sorts of conversations that I really want to be having with this partner? Um, so, and also Juno is in Sagittarius, which means that, you know, as long as this Juno retrograde is going on, which is until early August, we're all asking ourselves, how can we experience relationships that are more free, more expanded, where we feel like there's growth going on instead of stagnation? So some of those questions may really be up for you as well this month. Now, Juno is opposing that Mercury retrograde that Julia was talking about, and that is in the house of the higher mind, so it does pertain to education. It pertains to travel. It also pertains to growth and expansion. This is the house that Sagittarius rules. And I like to think of this as the house of resilience, because this is the house where we create or adopt or adapt a worldview that can help to explain life to us in a way that makes it meaningful. And so Mercury retrograde there is very busily asking a lot of questions about, like, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? And how can I, look at the past and untangle those things that I thought then, but which I don't think now. So a lot of that may be going on, and it is going to connect right over to that Juno with with all of the relationship retrospection going on. Really, it's likely to all come to a head around the 24th, around the 10th, that is, which is when the new moon happens here in Gemini. And this particular new moon is a solar eclipse, which means that it's a time when we have to look at our shadow, and Mercury is all up in that. So this is going to be an eclipse where we have experiences that anybody can see, that are very visible, where our behavior is involved, and where it just forces us to look at our shadow. What can I say?
Oh, yeah.
And so that's going to really impact those relationship conversations. And you're going to be asking some pretty big questions of yourself and probably your partner too. Now, there is another moon coming later in the month after we're clear of that eclipse, thank goodness. This second moon is a full moon in Capricorn, which is happening for you in the 4th house, opposite the sun in Cancer here in the 10th house. Now, the moon in Capricorn is always a bit of a puzzle, because the moon is all about emotions and expressing emotions and feeling and intuiting. It's very flowy in that way. The full moon in particular is, it's the most emotional time of the month. It's when emotions are high. But Capricorn is very stoic in its nature. It tends to contain those emotions, constrict around those emotions, suppress those emotions. And sometimes the result is a quality of brittleness and emotional self-protection. That may happen for you at home in your home life. And it may be that you're feeling like uncared for or uncared about, or like you've got to be strong and be the protector of your nest. And you may actually find more nurture is available presently at work. That wouldn't be surprising, because the sun in Cancer is there shining warmly. And also Jupiter is helping during this moon from its position in Pisces. You can find out more about this moon and how to handle it in our June 2021 news playlist on our YouTube channel, Pandora Astrology. But suffice it to say that the more that you can soften at home, instead of approaching things in that brittle way that just signals, oh, nobody takes care of me, I only take care of everybody else, the better it will go. You can also find out about the eclipse and Juno retrograde in that June 2021 news playlist. Well, I hope you enjoyed this horoscope. We enjoyed making it for you. You can always find horoscopes like this one on our website, pandoraastrology.com. where you can also find the news of the month on our monthly forecast page. And you can find our services page where we offer readings, and also we offer classes on our website too. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.